What is going down, faithful? Another day of 49ers off season. Anything happen? Anything go? Nah, nothing. Nothing to talk about. Oh, you know the vibes. It's a typical day in the 49ers. Feels like almost like a metaverse. Off season. I don't know. It's like the 49ers are their own ecosystem of just insane content. But hey, we're here to talk about it all. We got a bunch of reports um, and some news, about players who have left, players who the 49ers may have been targeting that aren't here anymore. We got to hear from Malik Collins for the first time. Hey, you know the vibes. Smoke season's going crazy right now. So this is going to be more of an AMA, though. I'm going to get through the updates, and then I'll let you guys just fire off questions for the offseason. But we'll go through some of the updates, then it'll be your turn. But let's get into it all right now. You already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, guys? Before we get into any of the updates kind of surrounding the league, surrounding the team, let's do a mental health check. I just want to make sure all our 49er fans, we're doing all right. We're doing good. Just want to check the mentals. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. I know the off season is a very straining portion of the year, especially coming off a Super Bowl loss. So I know it can definitely be challenging to work through because it is rumor season, all the smoke, all this, all that. So I understand, but just want to do mental health check. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. My guy says hanging in there. I have lost multiple years off my life, man. Very relatable, very relatable. Uh, I definitely understand that. My guy Colton says, I know we have been spoiled for years, but this offseason so far has more or less lackluster. BA deserves the bag, but man, we seem relatively quiet this year. I mean, we did, I got to give a lot of credit to Mike Silver. Mike Silver's doing some good stuff. He's putting out some good nuggets. He did tell us to be patient. So I guess I don't know. It just feels like there I wish I knew. I wish I could provide better insight into calming some of the nerves a little bit. But it's kind of just one of those situations where we're living and dying with every notification that comes across, and it's like we just kind of have to live with it, good or bad. So it's definitely been interesting for sure. Boomer says, I wish we won the Super Bowl because then the offseason would be way more chill. 100%. 100%. Everyone's just so on edge right now with the way things ended, right? The way that game ended, it just put like a really bad taste in everyone's mouth as we headed into the offseason. I mean, if we were chilling with the sixth ring, it would be like we would be fine. These crazy rumors would be coming out about our players. We'd be like, whatever, we got our ring. Like they're gonna be fine. We don't need to spend any time on this. But it's just like it's almost like it's got flipped on its head. It's like, well, because we didn't win, it's like we're now like hyper focused on like how do we get back? How do we make sure that the moves that are being made, the decisions that are being made put the 49ers in the best shot to get back, because 49er fans are hanging on by a thread when it comes to their mental health. I mean, that's just my assumption. Again, I'm speaking from a place where I too am a die-hard 49er fan. Like, I want to know everything. I want to know every little single detail about my team. And that's how it was for me before I started doing content. And so that's why it's always been super natural for me when I made the transition to actually doing 49ers content is I already knew where to look. I already had an idea of how all this worked. And it just the other things needed to be worked out in regards to the content game. It wasn't like finding the information. I've always been good at finding the information. And sometimes it's like, damn, we come across information. I'm like, I wish I didn't find that. It's like, I wish I didn't see that. Um, because now my mental health is up for grabs and so. But again, it sports, football, it's supposed to kind of be a little bit of an escape. So also, let's not try to be too hard on it. To remember it is a kid's game that just happens to be played for a king's ransom. I know we love it to death, good, bad, or indifferent. Um, but hey, I feel it too. I feel it too. So this is what we're gonna do. Let's go through some of the updates from today. Um, and then we will open it up for questions and kind of let you guys drive the bus from here on out. So we had some Eric Armstead news today. It actually started off with the Joey Bosa news. Obviously, Joey Bosa has been one of the most heavily discussed players when it comes to like wish list items. So I would say many 49er fans were loving. I mean, again, these were guys that insiders were talking about. We talked about Michael Silver earlier. And they were linking Joey Bosa as a potential option. Almost every beat reporter was. Every beat reporter was like, "Go, don't like pay attention to this. Pay attention to what's happening with Nick." I mean, every single one of them. And so we found out this morning that the Chargers agreed to a contract restructure with Joey Bosa, which will keep him in that powder blue jersey for the time being. So it doesn't appear that Joey Bosa will be rushing the edge. But also, one of the things that we've heard is that just because the 49ers have signed YGM and Leonard Floyd, which for what it's worth, Leonard Floyd hasn't actually officially been announced for whatever that's worth. So that's I don't think anything of that in the sense of I don't think anything's going to happen, but it is interesting that the 49ers haven't officially announced that move yet. So kind of waiting and seeing with that whole situation. We saw the whole Eric Kendricks thing go down, so I don't want to say it's nothing. I believe it's nothing, but I'm just presenting the information. So we'll see how that goes. We also found out that Ray McLeod has signed with the Falcons, signs a 2-year deal. So Charlie Warner and Ray McLeod head on over with the Falcons. And again, Raheem Morris, heavy ties to Kyle Shanahan and that whole tree. So not surprised that they want to get some Niner players over there implementing offense. So no more Ray McLeod. He signed a 2-year deal. Officially today, we found out that Eric Armstead was signing with the Jaguars. He signed a big time deal with them, reuniting with Trent Baalke. So Eric got the bag, and on top of that, no state income tax. If you guys remember, he made like a TikTok style video showing his paycheck and how much money was taken out uh, and all that good stuff. So I thought that was interesting. It was confirmed by Rossini that the 49ers had a straight up trade on the table for Eric Armstead and Malik Collins. That trade fell through. Eric got 3 years, $51 million. We heard about the Brandon Aiyuk stuff, Debo Samuel stuff, all that good stuff. So those are kind of the moves. And then also right before we hopped on, 2 linebackers signed. Devin White signed with the Eagles, 1 year, $7.5 million. And then Tyrell Dodson. Tyrell Dodson has signed with the Seattle Seahawks, and that was actually a guy I had no idea of who Tyrell Dodson was before yesterday. Someone said to check him out. I checked him out. It's like, oh, he's a mover. I was like, he's small, but he's active. Actually felt like I was like, oh, he might fit in with what the 49ers want to do. That's a very intriguing prospect, 25 years old, but he goes to Seattle instead. So it appears the 49ers are still in the market for linebacker. Silver also talked about this, that he believes that it's probably going to be Oren Burks and Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles who return. And then if that is the case, where the 49ers bring back those guys, which, DFF, very quality special teamer, Oren Burks, very quality special teamer. I knocked myself down again. That's the second time I've done that this week. Oh boy. So if they go that route and bring back DFF, bring back Oren Burks, I would also imagine too that they do go draft. You got the prospect Gray coming out of North Carolina. That could be an option as well. And of course, you got Graham and Winters, who could be an option. I just don't know if they feel comfortable relying on that just yet. So we'll see how that pans out. I should make a blooper video. I would have a lot of bloopers if that was the case. I would have a lot of those. But yeah. And then again, in Silver, it's kind of low key blowing up right now. Silver's article, he talks about how he's getting the sense that the 49ers are looking to sign a starting caliber safety. So, and he named 3. He named Justin Simmons, who is a phenomenal safety. Super, super good. Cameron Curl, who I've talked about as a guy that I would have signed as depth. He's talking about him as a starter. He's still a young player, but has a lot of starting experience with the Commanders and also Colts, Julian Blackmon. So Mike Silver is saying there's no guarantee that Talanoa Hufanga is going to get his job back from injury, which sounds definitely cutthroat and cold-blooded, which the 49ers, the NFL is. That's just how it works. It's a business at the end of the day. But we've seen it before. We saw Jimmy Ward go down, and they signed Tashawn Gibson. Gibson comes in, becomes a starter. Jimmy Ward never gets his job back. Jimmy Ward was one of the longest tenured 49ers at the time. He was a captain. He didn't get his job back. He had to move to nickel. Jimmy Ward told a story about how he went into Kyle Shanahan's office and said, "I don't want to play nickel. I want to play safety." And by the sounds of it, sounded like Kyle was like, "Well, you either play nickel or you can ride the bench. Those are your two options." And he said, "All right, I'll play nickel." So, hey, it's a dog eat dog world out there, man. Huff's a great dude. I got to meet Huff at the Super Bowl when we did when I went to the team hotel, and they do like where everyone's sitting at the table and you get to go talk to them. And Huff was just no one was talking to Talanoa Hufanga. I was like, is Huff really just standing here? Like he didn't have a table. He was just kind of floating. I'm like, damn, no one's talking to Huff, man. Like what? So I just walked straight up to him. It was cool because he recognized me, dapped me up, seems genuinely happy to see me, and we just started chopping it up. Like Huff's cool as hell. Like that is a cool dude. Genuinely just a great person. Like you can it's I don't know. You can kind of sense when you meet someone for the first time. Like I'm a very social anxiety person, so I don't know. I think it takes a while for people to like kind of get a true sense of who I am because I'm pretty like low key when I first meet people. But like with Huff, dude, just all smiles. Like he's a great dude, man. Great dude. Um, and that that's the hard part, right? It's like I'm a fan of the team. I'm a fan of the players. So probably why I wouldn't make a great GM because I'd probably get too tied to the people. Um, but it's also at the same time, it's not like Huff's going anywhere. But it is an interesting sentiment. I don't think it was something that like any of us would have anticipated. Um, so, anyways, it's just it's an interesting nugget. And again, Silver has been lining these types of takes up, and he's been banging them. Like he's been killing this offseason when it comes to kind of uh potential projections of what the 49ers are going to do. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. He also says about the Brandon Aiyuk situation. He said there are decisions to be made on offense, Shanahan's prime area of focus during the season. The Niners could be headed for a messy contract stare down with the second team All Pro receiver Brandon Aiyuk, who currently is slated to play on his rookie deal 5th-year option and wants a lucrative extension. This year's draft is considered receiver rich, meaning there might be an inflection point in late April, especially if Aiyuk, like teammate Debo Samuel 2 years ago, requests a trade. So he's not saying it's messy yet. He's saying it could get messy. So we're going to wait and see. With that whole situation. I think I already know how the fan base feels. Like if Aiyuk were to go, that would be a very hard thing to deal with because he had a breakout campaign. We know how good he is. Um, he's beloved by the fan base. I've seen it, so many times. Like the question just naturally comes up. It's like, who would you rather have, Debo or Aiyuk? And it's like most of the fan base was like, well, I love both of them, but if I had to choose, I'd go Aiyuk. Um, I think a lot of people see the connection that him and Brock have. I don't think people want to see that go away, and I also think people see that BA is a wide receiver one. Like, and not to say like I contextualize Debo and Aiyuk differently. to me, and it has always been this way, Brandon Aiyuk is a wide receiver 1, prototypical wide receiver 1. Debo is a offensive weapon 1. Like he does so many different things so well in a different way than BA. The yak, the electricity that he brings, he has a strong leadership, intangible. He's very big energy guy. Um, it's like they're great in their own ways, but I think people see BA as a prototypical 1 who's running deep routes, and his cooking dudes. Obviously, also BA is almost as popular for his blocking than also his receiving. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think, we've seen some pretty crazy off seasons, right? Like we saw Jimmy Garoppolo off onto the side field. Um, literally, I remember I went on a radio show, I think that off season, and they asked me what percentage chance does Jimmy Garoppolo going to return? And, understanding that anything can happen in the NFL, I didn't say 0%, but I said 0.01%. I said, there's always a chance. Anything can happen in the NFL. I truly believe that. Literally anything can happen. So I didn't say 0, but I said as close to 0 as I could probably get. And sure enough, Jimmy returned that year. So I just don't think that we could put it past, like anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. I'm keeping that mindset through this off season, especially kind of how it got started off with the Eric Armstead situation. So just kind of like just keeping my mind open to all and everything. Everything. The good, the bad, indifferent, all of it. I think you just have to be fluid. So that's the continued mindset that I'm going to take. Yeah, I love this. This got to be catchphrase right here. This got to be a catchphrase right here. You watch a channel, it's going to get interesting. I like that. Thank you for calling that out. Let's put that on a shirt. With the beard logo underneath it. I'm for it because it's going to be interesting. And the San Francisco 49ers keep it interesting for sure. But that's funny. I know I pick up on the things that I say a lot. I tend to repeat myself, but hey, it is what it is. All right, let me open it up. I'm going to open the floor to you guys. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll try to get to as many as I can. Super chats go to the top of the list, and right on cue, we have our first super chat of the show. Shout out Gizmo. Appreciate. Oh, here we go. We got to move. Just talked about this. The San Francisco 49ers are expected to re-sign Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles to a 1-year deal. Just talk about this. And honestly, I like this move. This is a good move to me. I love DFF. DFF, friend of the show. He's actually been on our YouTube channel. We interviewed DFF. DFF's a great guy, man. Great guy. So the 49ers bring back DFF on a 1 year. That just announced by Ari Moriov of, I think he's 33rd team. So there's our linebacker. So that's kind of what it feels like 49ers are going to do. We talked about it at the very top of the show. Feels like they're going to bring back DFF. They're going to bring back Oren and then potentially turn to the draft for additional linebacker help because they're really no more. There aren't that many linebackers out there. They're really not. The 49ers plan to re-sign linebacker Demetrius Flanagan Fouls to a 1-year deal per Ari. There we go. Pop that. Bang, bang. Check spelling. Demetrius Flanagan Fouls. All right. So we just had a signing. If you're just wondering why I'm staring off into the distance, blabbering to myself, I'm currently making my posts. So the 49ers bring back DFS or DFS, not daily fantasy. Demetrius Flanagan Fouls. I like the move. But I think I'm also admittedly biased because I'm a big fan of DFF, the person too. So I personally like the move. Again, I think he's like a guy who's a very impactful special teamer. He can fill in. I like Flan, man. Flan's dope. So we got a linebacker. Oh, what's good, Don Burr? All right. So Gizmo says Puka Nakua versus Lions. Oh, right on cue when Don Burr comes in. Puka Nakua versus the Lions, 9 receptions, 181 yards. Aiyuk, playoff Lions, 3 for 68. Packers, 3 for 32. Chiefs, 3 for 49. I just don't think he's worth top money. Not a big body, not super fast. Ooh, spicy. Spicy, huh? Well, I don't look at Brandon Ayuk's playoff production as an indictment on him. If we're going to be honest about that, like I'm definitely not a person who's going to look at stats and formulate an opinion or a take off of numbers. I'm definitely 100% watch the film kind of a guy. So for me, I look at those numbers and I look at how Brandon Aiyuk versus the Packers, the 49ers offense couldn't do anything the entirety for 3 quarters. Brock Purdy was struggling throwing the football, really had a hard time gripping it in the rain. It's obviously a trend that we've identified that Brock has a hard time throwing in the rain. It's one of those things that we have seen now on multiple occasions. And so the whole offense struggled against the Packers. And when you look at the Lions, the offense was almost non-existent in the first half, outside of I think it was a Christian McCaffrey touchdown. And when you talk about the Lions, 3 for 68, Brandon Aiyuk makes one of the most important plays of that game. So I don't necessarily look at that. And with the Chiefs, I mean, what are you going to do? He can't throw. He can't. I don't know. He can't throw it to himself. he can't generate he can't yeah, he that's why I don't like the stats things. Like when you look at Puka is peppered with targets. Peppered. Um that's not Ayuk. Ayuk is one of the like least targeted wide receiver ones uh in the NFL. I mean, you look at his targets compared to other guys like Puka and Amon-Ra St. Brown, like he's got significantly less targets than those guys. So that's why I don't love that. Uh so yeah, DFF just signed. We just posted that. I was expecting that, especially with the news that Devin White and the other linebackers signed with Seattle. I'm gonna try to go back up. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Do I think Kyle has lost the locker room? No, I don't. I don't think he's lost the locker room. Um, I don't actually. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and say Kyle's, probably best buddies with every single person inside that locker room. But I don't think he's lost the locker room. I think everyone knows, um, you know, how successful they can be. I mean, but again, like I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so. When is O line going to be addressed? It's got to be addressed in. It's got to be addressed in the draft. You saw what the O line market went for. Insane. Insane. The Carolina Panthers gave $100 million to a guard. Now, I'm all for it, especially as an interior offensive lineman myself. Yeah, finally. Finally give the big boys in the middle some love and some respect. It's about damn time. Maybe we can get more athletes to play interior offensive line now that the bag is matching. Um but yeah, I'm not I'm not shocked at all that the 49ers didn't go O-line in free agency in the slightest. But I do imagine the draft is the best case because I think part of it too is you have 5 starters and you typically have 8 to 9 total offensive linemen. So you need a swing tackle. They got that in Jalen Moore. You need a backup. You need a utility guy who can play center guard, and they technically need a starter still because I don't get the sense that they feel very confident with Spencer Burford. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see how that works out. Let's see what other questions. What are the Niners going to do at linebacker? I think it's DFF, Orrin Burks. Maybe they take a swing on an Isaiah Simmons. I'm getting Justin Simmons. No, it's Isaiah Simmons. Maybe they take a shot on him. Try to take a shot on the upside and the youth, and go from there. Why do we draft so many bust players? Kyle needs to stop overdrafting players. Latu was a terrible selection. Um, the 49ers have always been really particular. They don't go with the mainstream guys. It's kind of been one of the things that they haven't done. Like they have their own board, they have their own philosophy. They do their own thing. It really feels like it doesn't feel like they just kind of do their own thing. And you know, who am I to say like what's right or what's wrong and how they go about their draft philosophy? You know, you guys know I'm big into the draft, so I track this stuff pretty closely. And a lot of the prospects that I like hit. Not everyone hits, but I feel like I have a pretty good track record when it comes to identifying talent. They don't typically go with the guys that I like. So I try to I have two ways that I go about scouting. I scout for guys that I like, and I scout for guys that I think the 49ers are gonna like. There's two mentalities that I have. I have built up traits that I like in guys at each in an individual position, how I would build the roster if it was up to me. But I also recognize that the 49ers don't do that. They have their own process. And so part of me evaluating is evaluating their process, evaluating what they want to do, what they draft, what they go after. So I scout two ways. I scout for myself and then I scout for them. I scout for like, oh, this feels like a 49er guy and might not be a guy like that I like, but um you kind of you figure it out. The 49ers don't draft linebackers that aren't converted safeties. Like you figure out the trends and you kind of go from there. So um and to be fair, they've hit on a lot. I just think the last 2 years, I think trading away, you know, the the Trey Lance pick, I think is haunting them. Uh, I think it's haunting them. Uh, they have a good track record. I mean, you're not batting 1,000 on draft picks ever. No one is. So they've done some good things. Like I think Jair Brown is going to be a great. I think Jair Brown has a ton of potential. Moody's probably going to be okay. I think Moody will be fine. I don't think I think with time continue to settle in. He's got the leg to do it. So we'll see how it continues to play out. Um, who knows? Maybe Jalen Graham, D Winters could be guys. Darrell Luter could potentially. We don't know still. It's hard to judge this past draft because although we didn't have a lot of day one contributors, we don't know. There's still like 2-3 years that I think we got to give them room to grow and develop. Uh, but I think the thing that sticks out to people are back to back misses on third round running backs, one in which you traded up for. What appears to be a miss on Danny Gray. I like Danny Gray coming out of SMU. He was actually a guy that I would have considered a draft crush, but it just hasn't worked. He hasn't even got the opportunity to do anything with the 49ers, but that just might be because they don't think he can. I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I think it's important to know Adam Peters isn't in the room anymore. So it's going to be very interesting to see if any of that philosophy changes from a draft standpoint. Who do I see stepping up as a leader to fill the void for Eric Armstead? Oh, I think that's a good question. I think that's a good question. Who steps up as the leader? So we already know that Fred is your defensive leader. I would have to assume Hargrave. Hargrave becomes the adult in the room. with Eric out. Obviously, you have Nick Bosa there, but I think Eric's the old Hargrave's the oldest, so I'd have to say Hargrave. Um, this is just objectively false. I think one of Eric's best leadership or best qualities was his leadership. I've talked to multiple defensive linemen. I've interviewed Charles O'Menihue. I've interviewed Eric. I've interviewed Kinlaw. I've talked to a bunch of these guys, dude, and they just rave. They rave about Eric Armstead. So I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. Hargrave Eric was a real leader. He was a real leader. He wasn't a vocal leader. He was I'm going to put my arm around you and we're going to get through this kind of a leader. Armstead was great as a leader. So I don't think that's very accurate. Nobody else is Jefferson, but Pittman just got $23 million. Can't act like you shouldn't pay for Aiyuk. Aiyuk's probably angling for, I would say my assumption is it's going to be 25 to 30 million per year on average. I saw early on in the offseason, it was rumored that Amon-Ra St. Brown was looking for that amount. And I'm like, oh, well, if Amon-Ra's getting 25 to 30 million per year on average, Brandon Aiyuk should absolutely get 25 to 30 per year on average. I think their stats were pretty damn similar. But when you look at the volume, Amon-Ra had immensely more volume to get to those numbers that he got, opposed to Eric, BA. So when you look at and contextualize their numbers, Amon-Ra had way more opportunities to be able to build those numbers versus. So that's why I think he'll get in that 25 to 30 range. I just saw another question. Where did it go? Brad, if the 49ers don't trade up in the draft and don't pick O linemen, who do you think they will go for if they stay pat in the draft? This is I've been having this debate about offensive tackle at 31 for like 3 weeks now. Because this is my thought process right now as it stands with offensive linemen at 31. I don't think any of the top offensive tackles, which is, you talk to draft experts, they're saying there's 7-8 guys potentially are going to go in the first round with first round grades, and like legitimate first round grades, not like, just a bunch of, O-line needy teams reaching, like legitimate first round grades on like 7 to 8 offensive tackles. They're calling it the best offensive line class arguably ever. I don't think any of them are going to be there. I don't think any of them will be there. So if you're taking a tackle at 31, and this is my whole point of potentially punting on offensive linemen if you don't trade up and none of those guys fall. If you take an offensive lineman at 31 and with a little bit of a developmental tag on him, there's not a guarantee he's going to start over Colton McKivitz. So for me, I want 31 to play as a rookie. That's just kind of where I'm at. And that could be me being hard-headed, but I want pick 31 to play. I want pick 31 to contribute as a rookie. And the biggest transition out of any position from college to the NFL is offensive line. And so there's no guarantee that if the elite guys are gone, you take a tackle at 31, that he's going to play. I want a guy who's going to play. So I say this all the time, rounds 2 through 5, I can find you damn near a starter every single year. Abe Lucas, Zach Tom, I can find you deep starters. And if you want to develop those guys, then go that route. If you really want to go developmental, then kick it back around. Maybe go O tackle at 63 or go interior offensive lineman at 63 or in the third. What do you need right now? I think 31 a little bit has to be a little bit for need. And I don't think the 49ers internally perceive offensive tackle as big as a this year right now need as everyone else does. I know everyone wants to get off Colton McKivitz. I know that's the fan base's opinion. But I believe the 49ers look at Colton McKivitz as one of the best values on their team. I think they see what they're paying him. That's why they gave him the extension. And which the extension to me is a vote of confidence that, like, we're going to give you one more year. Even if we draft an offensive tackle. Now, they could still go OT in the first round. But again, there's no guarantee that guy is beating out Colton McKivitz. NFL training camps aren't built to allow offensive linemen to catch up to speed. It's trial by fire. So you got to be ready to go as an offensive lineman. And yes, you like the guys that I've talked about, Zach Tom, Abe Lucas, later round picks, have started it right away and have success. So it's not like you can't find a starter at 31, but it's not a guarantee. That's the whole point. It's not a guarantee. So if they don't trade up for an offensive lineman and they don't go offensive line, I think there's a good chance you could try to potentially see what defensive linemen fall. And I know, I already know, I can already see you guys ripping your hair out. Like, did he just say defensive line? We literally have only taken defensive linemen. All that, like, what are you talking? Listen, it could be defensive line. I also think cornerback, because the 49ers haven't addressed cornerback. I think 31 could be a cornerback. Like, if Kool-Aid falls and he's there, there's a good chance Kool-Aid McKinstry could definitely be the pick at 31. I think that's a real thing. So that's where I think they go. Or if there's an issue with how these wide receiver things play out, there's a good chance it could be wide receiver. So I'm preparing myself for the 49ers not to go offensive line in the first round unless they trade up. That's what I look at. Like, if they're trading up, oh yeah, you're trading up for a tackle. But if you're not trading up, then I think you might have to pivot on tackle and go somewhere else. Next year says, I think someone keeps timing you out. I think it's because you keep spamming the chat. Just don't keep saying the same thing over again. If you want to ask your question one more time, I'll try to get to it in a second. Just don't keep spamming it over and over again. That's why you're getting timed out. Ryan says, "Hey Brad, I agree with your tackle take. Do you think we could get a guard with the first or second pick that could start year one instead, or cornerback?" Again, I'm also of the mindset I can find starting interior offensive linemen rounds 3 through 5 for sure. So if some of the top interior offensive linemen fall, then I'm all for it at 31 if they don't grab Feliciano. If they do grab Feliciano, I think that gives them the option to pivot at guard as well. So, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, if you have a guy like Graham Barton there at 31, I think that's very intriguing. If he's not, and you want to go like with a McCormick or a Cooper Beebe in the second or third, then I'd much rather do that. Again, like clockwork, I can find you interior starters in rounds 3 through 5 like clockwork. Hell, you give me a second round pick, you give me pick 63, guaranteed starter on the interior. I can find you every single year. So that's the way that I would kind of look at it. So that's why I am not going to be stressed out at the 49ers punt on offensive linemen with their first pick, because I know you can find value later. So that's my personal philosophy. That's how I've scouted offensive line back to the days when Mike Iupati was my first ever offensive line draft crush out of Idaho. Look at that hair. What a legend. That was my first offensive lineman draft crush out of Idaho. Mike Iupati, legend. He was a first round draft pick, but which means nothing to the point that I just made. But the point is that I've been really evaluating offensive linemen heading into the draft since Mike Iupati came in. So I feel very confident with what I'm looking for and what it means to be successful in the NFL. So cornerback, yeah, definitely could be an option there. My guy asked a question. He called me barf, but I'll let it slide. Not on this one, though. He says, here's the question. If we actually trade Debo, which I'm completely against, what would be a good trade where we could get something good in return? Sheesh. I don't know what a good return for Debo would look like, because when he was coming off an all-pro year, the 49ers got offers for him, and it sounds like the best offer they got was like I think it was like pick 10 overall by the Giants, but they wanted, or not the Giants, the Jets, but they also wanted the 49ers second round pick back with Debo, and that was coming off his all-pro year. Obviously, he needed to get paid, which drives down the return a little bit. He doesn't need to get paid now, and I think the argument for trading potentially Debo is, when you look at where the wide receiver market is going, Debo's contract doesn't feel that bad anymore. Like when you see Calvin Ridley at 29 years old getting damn near 100 mil, doesn't feel that bad anymore. So I feel like his contract is, and again, this is hypothetically, if another team wanted to get his contract, I don't feel like another team would scoff like, oh, he's making too much or anything like that. I feel like if you're the Niners, you want at minimum a first round draft pick. But I don't know. That's a great question. It's hard to evaluate Debo in a sense on another team. I know how Kyle's gonna use Debo, so Debo's like a perfect scheme fit for what the 49ers are doing. I don't know. I don't know if he fits the same. Like, the rumors of Debo to the Ravens, like, to me, I'm like, "Well, shoot, that actually might be a good fit offensively." Like, Debo might actually fit really well on a team like the Ravens, um, where they run the football a lot, and you could run Debo and use him in a variety of different ways, and utilize his skill set. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't have a great answer for that. I'm not really sure what a great return would look like for him. Do we trade Aiyuk or Debo now with the deep draft class at wide receiver? Can't see how we can afford both with Purdy's contract, the rest of the team. I mean, it's something that we're looking into. Obviously I would prefer not to trade either one of them. I would prefer to trade Brandon Aiyuk and figure it out. Maybe cross that bridge next year. Um, so I don't know. I want to keep the team intact for this year. Beyond this year, I think you can sell me on having to blow it up a little bit because you have to pay Brock. But for me, I want to keep the core together as best I can because I think that's going to be the best chance at winning a championship. Now, obviously, I know things change and things happen, but if it's up to me, I'm keeping Ayuk and Debo this year because I think it gives us the best shot at winning. There's no guarantee that a rookie wide receiver is going to do anything with the San Francisco 49ers. We have too much of a track record of wide receivers not panning out. Like, we have too much of a track record with this team of guys not working out, regardless of whatever. So there's no guarantee that, all right, we'll just draft the rookie. There's no guarantee he comes in, understands the scheme, fits into the blocking scheme. 49ers are very demanding on their wide receivers. Kyle Shanahan is very demanding on their wide receivers. And the reason why Debo and Ayuk are so perfect for this offense is because they have mastered it. They've mastered it. They understand it. They get what's required of it. Um, it's no guarantee that anyone else that you pick up off the streets can come in and do that as well. Could they trade up in the second round for a linebacker with upside as a pass rusher? I mean, if they've been following Justin's track record of finding these hybrid guys and seeing that there is a path for success, just see the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, I would assume that would be a good idea as well. Micah Parsons, right? I forget the name the guy that you've been talking about for a while, but there's a Micah Parsons clone that you got your eyes on. Honestly, if he can play linebacker, off-ball linebacker, and rush the passer, hell yeah. Please enlighten me, Brad, on what could be the plan for Purdy's sidekick. Is he coming from the draft? Sidekick? You mean like wide receiver? Tight end? Running back? What do you mean by sidekick? I think I might need an additional definition of what exactly sidekick means. I would assume you mean wide receiver. Um, There's this good wide receiver class, man. It's a good wide receiver class. Oh, other QB. There we go. There we go. I like Devin Leary. Leary out of Kentucky. Draft him in the 7th. If he falls that far, draft him in the 6th. If he falls that far, I really like that guy. I thought, again, he was a guy that was on my radar heading into the combine, and then watching him at the combine, I was like, yeah, he's good. The combine is where I discovered Tyson Bagent. Now, Tyson Bagent, won a couple games with the Bears, isn't the like future franchise or anything like that, but he's an undrafted free agent who came in as a rookie and he won games. Did he look perfect? Did he look great? Did he look like a rookie? Did he look like an undrafted free agent? Yeah, a little bit, but he still won games for the Bears. And Tyson Bagent was the guy that I wanted the 49ers to draft to be quarterback 3 or 4 or however many quarterbacks they wanted. That was the guy that I was like, get him. They said, nah, we're good. We want someone else. And so Bagent goes to the Bears, beats out the backup quarterback that the Bears had in place, and then actually starts and wins games as a D2 quarterback. So Leary to me is kind of that same mold. So that's why he was on my radar heading into the combine, and then at the combine, I was like, yeah. So that might be a plan for the sidekick. We'll see. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that are great. Any new Pretty Ricky tweets? Hey, that account is wild, bro. That account is wild. I've never seen anything like that dude since I've been doing this. That dude is crazy. Some of the scoops that he's had is unbelievable. Yeah, Pratt, that's the name I was looking for. Pratt is another guy that you could target as well. Pratt for sure. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm ready to wrap up free agency. I think at this point, and get moving on the draft. I'm ready for free agency to be over. I think I'm officially over free agency. Let's get these last couple signings figured out, put it to bed. Let's focus on the draft. I'm ready for the draft, man. I'm ready to break down some prospects. I have free agency fatigue already. So, hey, it is what it is. So hope if you guys missed it, Demetrius Flanagan Files was signed while we were on stream. I like it. I think it fills a need, fills a role, and all that good stuff. So I'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate everyone for tapping in. Again, I understand, I've seen a lot of people kind of upset with some of the stories that I covered today. And again, I'm trying to be really respectful of your mental health. I understand that these rumors can feel like people are trying to drum up drama. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's not what I'm trying to do at all. I literally sat on the Debo thing for like 5 days before I finally had to break down and make a video because it wouldn't stop coming up. So I'm really not trying to just throw drama in your face. the offseason is inherently drama filled with rumors, with those things, all that stuff. So bear with me. Bear with me. We'll get through this period. There's probably going to be more rumors. There's probably going to be more crazy trade speculation. There's probably going to be all kinds of stuff. So just be ready for it. I'm not trying to stir up. I'm literally doing my job, which is people talking about the 49ers. I'm going to see it. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to let you be able to make your opinion on whether it's real, whether it's not. That's the unfortunate nature of off-season content. So I appreciate you all rocking with me. I know it's challenging. It's challenging for me as well. But it's kind of just where we're at. So appreciate all of you. I appreciate every single one of you who continues to rock with the channel during the off season. We're still growing. We're still doing numbers, and I appreciate every single one of you. Appreciate all the questions that you guys asked today. I think we're going to have to do more AMAs. I wasn't able to get to all your questions. You guys were pumping in the questions, and I tend to take very long on my answers. So might have to do a couple more AMAs. But I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone. And we'll be back tomorrow. More content coming. All that good stuff. So appreciate you. Do me a favor, smash that like button. Whenever you see a video come up, whether you like the title or topic or not, smash that like button, watch it all the way through. Shoot me a comment, even if the comment is like, Brad, this video sucks. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys. So I'm out of here for now. We'll see what other news pops up, but anything pops off, anything pops off crazy, we're going live. So appreciate you all. Grab your cookies on the way out. I'm out of here for now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.